What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Odin coming to you with another video, and today I've got Corey and Zach once again. We are going to be talking about wrestling. Corey, how are you doing, man?
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing just fine, just fine. Zach, what about you?
Can't wait to talk about some wrestling. That's right.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking specifically about tag teams, what the current state of the tag team division is, just not only in the WWE, but also across the world of wrestling as well. So we're going to start off with Zach. So Zach, what is your opinion of the current state of the tag team divisions across all the different brands?
Well, as a big tag team fan, I love tag team wrestling. Tag team wrestling is what got me really into wrestling with Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson, the Brainbusters being my favorite tag team. I am a four horseman all the way through 100%. There's nothing against that. But I really love what WWE has as a tag team division. I wish they did more with it in the sense, but giving them more time and whatnot. But the tag team division in WWE is so strong in WWE. But, you know, going all the way to New Japan, ROH, Chikara, CZW, all those companies have great tag teams, and I don't know much about CZW's tag team division, but ROH having, you know, the Briscoes and WWE piltered their tag team division, so they kind of like lackluster now, but have the Briscoes still huge. Young Bucks are there, and you know, that's the only bad part about, you know, the Bullet Club is the Young Bucks, but great merchandisers, great businessmen, great on the mic, just the high-flying spots, whatever, dude. Kick it all. Too many super kicks. They try to idolize them guys, you know, Michaels and Marty Jannetty, and it's just like, guys, stop. Be yourselves. Don't be a watered-down frickin' Rockers and Hardy Boys. Be something good.
Ooh, them's fighting words right there.
But go ahead.
I think what they do is they take what you're talking about and they amplify it by like a quadrillion on purpose.
That's what makes it bad. That's the point. Like,
but it's like
you can do that.
It's a B movie, though. You know what I mean?
And that's
like,
exactly what they are, is a B movie. They're not even a B movie. They're like a C movie, maybe P.
So they're like Trauma. They're successful. They have their...
Trauma was successful.
Trauma was totally successful. Let me grab my Toxie, okay?
But no, there's... The Young Bucks are like, to me, the worst part about tag team division in the state of current wrestling. They're just the bottom, in my opinion. I'm an Uso, the Bar, those kind of guys. I love the Briscoes, and the Briscoes aren't even like high tier on my book when it comes to tag team. War Machine or now War Raiders and NXT were those guys. Those guys, what those two dudes do is crazy for two big guys.
Yeah, yeah.
No, absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was going to say NXT has a really good crop, you know, going right now. You got the Street Profits who just came back. You know, you got War Raiders. You've got Heavy Machinery, who, you know, I'm a fan of, and I know Zach's a fan of. You know, I think you said it before, Odin, that NXT always seems like, you know, they're, you know, what are they going to do when they get, you know, rated by the main roster, and they always just pick back up.
They always deliver, and that's what I've always loved about NXT, and that's the reason why, for me, I do like the teams that are on the main roster for the WWE right now. I just feel like a lot of them just aren't being utilized, and I've said this before, that when you look at what NXT does, and probably one of my favorite all-time matches, tag team matches in that division, were absolutely all the fights between DIY and the Revival. To me, that was like the pinnacle of tag team wrestling. That was tag team wrestling done right. And the main reason why is not necessarily because of the moves being done in the ring, though the moves were excellent in the ring, but it's the chemistry between... It's the chemistry between the teams, and also the storytelling that happens within the ring itself. And that's something I feel like that it's very much lacking in the main roster right now, is the fact that you have these great teams like the Usos. The Revival are also now on the main roster too, and they're doing really great work. but the storytelling just isn't quite there, or at least is not up to the standard that NXT sets. And as you were saying, whenever NXT gets rated, you think to yourself, okay, well, where the hell are they going to go from here? But they always either have homegrown talent or they bring in more independent wrestlers that make really great tag teams overall. So again, I'm kind of mixed on the tag team divisions right now, at least in the WWE, because I'm pretty much strictly a WWE guy. It's not that I don't like New Japan or ROH. It's just that I don't have the time in the day to dedicate more and more time to watching all the weekly shows and the pay-per-views and things of that sort. When if there's like a really great match that gets a lot of hype, then I'll find a way to actually watch it. But otherwise, I pretty much just watch Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, sometimes some 205 Live because it's been getting really great lately. But I will say that to me, it's like the differences between the chemistry of the performers and also what they're able to do storytelling-wise in the ring as well.
But the nice thing about NXT is all those guys are coming up together and going into the main roster now. So we're getting to see like the revival in them. So not Dash, Dawson.
Dawson.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's right.
He's been there long enough to work with guys like Bo and Curtis, who were in NXT when NXT first started. You know, Curtis went back down there for the main roster to help NXT and the new young kids that were coming in and stuff. So all these guys have a little bit of chemistry, and I think we're going to start seeing, because you're seeing it on Raw a little bit with the B team and the Leaders of Worlds. You're starting to get some type of storyline. May it be funny, and that's the great thing about Bo and Curtis. And Curtis and Bo are, you know, I'm a huge B team fan, big B team fan, but I'm also a huge Bo Dallas fan. And I've quoted this and said this before. Bo Dallas is my favorite NXT champion. So to see him finally get with another guy that I'm a huge fan of, being Curtis Axel, as being a fan of Mr. Perfect, and finally seeing Curtis come into his own, I think we're going to start seeing more of that storyline and that fun they're going to have. And hopefully Curtis and Bo can be like the Edge and Christian of this era of wrestling, and kind of bring that goofy spin to the tag team division. That it, you know, the nice thing about tag division is you can have the serious guys and you can have your comedy people together. That's why, in my opinion, back in the PG era, Kozlov and Santino Marella as a tag team worked so well, because they were that comedy bit that was just like, I could watch a tea party with these two any day of the week. It was funny. So Bo and them are going to be that comedy relief that the tag team division needs, but yet being serious in the ring and telling a story. And Revival having that. Now we're going to have, rumor is Jason Jordan is supposed to be coming back to join up with Chad Gable again to reform the American Alphas. And then we're going to have Dean Ambrose joining forces with Seth Rollins again and being forced into the tag team division. So if everything is being rumored correctly in what we're going to get, I mean, the current tag team division on Raw is going to be awesome. And then you flip the other bar and you have New Day, The Bar, Usos, Bludgeon Brothers, the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Doc. You're going to have some amazing tag team stuff going on over there. And then see the young Street Profits. I'm not 100% sold on them, because there was this great PG team that I was a big fan of called Crime Time. And we talk about watered down problems. It's just
money.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm just like, WWE, it's too soon. You already did the black guys that, you know, goof off and stuff. Like, and Crime Time was great because they're stealing everybody's stuff and then pilfing at the side of the Ted DiBiase, Cody Rhodes. Ted DiBiase, Cody Rhodes, when they did that bit with those guys, and he's like, silly white boy. JTG, by far the best superstar to never have to wrestle.
Yeah, dude, JTG was, I mean, it still blew me away whenever he got let go from WWE. I mean, I just did not think it was ever going to happen.
6 years.
Dude, I mean, every time, it was so hilarious. Every time you would read any kind of like rumor mill thing during that, when it was cutting season, everybody's like, oh, JTG is #1. And that motherfucker was just like, I'll be right over here on Superstars. Y'all leave me alone.
This is the funny part is WWE missed the boat on not making that JTG's gimmick. How for somehow he stayed on the shows, but no. Street Profits is just, and the one guy has weird nipples.
So I was going to say they were super athletic.
I'm about to say, yeah, that's.
We'll go with weird nipples.
All right, so I'm gonna write that down. Weird nipples. Nothing about in-ring talent. Okay, gotcha.
No, they're fun and they're great and everything, but like, I'm sorry, his nipples are just like, tongue.
Yeah, see, for
great
me,
guys.
I like them because they're funny. The crowd loves them too, and that automatically, puts them high on my list because any team that the crowd can get behind in a big way is already like 3 or 4 steps ahead. But I will say, big nipples aside, I will say.
But you're a fan of the bar.
So.
Do you not remember? Yeah, thank you. And I only know that because of Cena. And I'm sorry.
Cesaro does have weird nipples.
I love how Zach's qualification for tag teams now.
What do you think of Harlem Heat?
But they wore the little singlets that like separate them, so you broke it up. But
but getting back to it.
Holy shit!
I will say that getting back to it, they are good in the ring though. When it comes back to the Street Profits, they're really
that frog splash.
Oh yeah, like the 360 frog splash is really really cool. Like it just amazes me. But no, like getting back to it too, like I definitely do think that they could do a lot of things with these teams. And you mentioned the B team. I think the B team is an excellent example of 2 guys who have been working their asses off for a very long time. Curtis Axel especially, who's been working for a very long time, has gotten several random pushes, but has never quite made it. And now finally is rocking the tag team championship with Bo Dallas. And everything they've been doing has been fantastic. And I'm just waiting for Vince to just screw it up somehow. Because that's what's going to happen, is that they're going to be going well. They're getting over naturally by the fans. And then Vince is going to start to try and say, oh, wait, they're over? Let's push it. And then everyone's going to be like, okay, well, now we're not interested anymore because now we can tell this is Vince McMahon trying to push something down our throats compared to just a natural, a natural collaboration of 2 people who are doing really great work in the ring. And then going back to the Leader of Worlds, like they have that same dynamic, but man, I want them to let Matt Hardy loose. To me, that team is never going to be as good as it can be until Matt just goes insane, because I'm sorry to say this, but Matt is just, he's not the in-ring performer that he once was. He's had too many injuries. You can just tell in the ring that he's fighting, and he looks hurt. He just looks so hurt. And so I feel like if you just put him out for a while and make him just the crazy guy that walks around the ring, yelling crazy things, grabbing the microphone, just doing crazy crap, to me, that would make the team so much better. Let Bray be the one that is doing the most of the in-ring hits, because especially with those 2 teams, you have the Bray-Bo Dallas dynamic of them being real-life brothers. And I love how even on a live show, they basically had a point where they both were like looking at each other, and they were them talking about like brothers, and then they both like looked at the fans breaking the 4th wall, saying like, yeah, we know that y'all love this. We know that y'all are a big fan of the fact that y'all know that we're real life brothers. So there's a lot they could do with the characters. I just feel like they're not quite getting to the point that they can be, at least on the main roster. That's why I like what they're doing with NXT a little bit more.
Well, maybe that's a test, because they test stuff on the live shows all the time. So maybe we're getting a tease. I mean, I can only hope, because I'm a big fan of Bo Dallas as well, and I was the only guy at our like house show that stood up and cheered for Bo Dallas and got looked at really funny by like everybody in the area. I was just, woo, Bo Dallas!
I believe.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
I was totally a believer. And
I love that gimmick. I love that gimmick so much.
Me too.
It made me happy. Every time I heard that music hit, I just instantly became happy. But here's my big fear with them, is that, because that Vince McMahon does this, the B team's going to lose at some point to the Leader of Worlds, and then he's going to say, oh, well, now we have nothing else to do with them. Well, let's just make them a part of the Leader of Worlds. Let's just make them lackeys or something. And I think that's just how I think. I think they're going to ruin the characters at some point. Because that's
I personally hope the B team join back up with the Miz at some point.
Ooh, okay.
and they actually maybe form another faction, like an actual faction, not a trio, a faction, where Miz and the Bo team, the B team are all together, and then add in
Maurice
somebody
there
else.
too. You got Maurice
Yeah,
in there
you can
too.
add, you can already
Female, yeah.
and actually have the Miz Taraj be a legit faction and do something big with them and make them all the, because it could be really fun where, Miz goes, I'm bringing you with me now and you're coming over here, and made you guys famous. And then all the stuff they could do over there with the Usos. Think about the B team throwing down promos with the Usos.
Oh, that'd be so much fun.
Like, it's great. And then you have the New Day, which New Day and them would be fun to get. Actually, New Day's overdone in my opinion, but I'm a huge still New Day fan.
Me too.
Like, it's one of those teams where you want to see them break up, but you're like, don't.
Because they're not going to do the breakup right. Like,
right.
It's like, that they've kind of pushed it too far. Though personally, I love Big E coming out every day and gyrating and like pulling pancakes out of his pants and like doing. I just think that's freaking hysterical. Like, everything Big E does to me is hilarious. Like, to me, he is the star of the team in my own opinion. I think each one has their own special thing. Xavier Woods obviously is a big part of that too. But I just love Big E so much. But that they're going to ruin. Well, any time they try and break them apart, they're just going to ruin it in some way.
The great thing is from what I've read, I think if it's true, how the rumor mill on the internet is, and you can only believe half the stuff and everything else. But from what I've read and it's pretty consistent, that Xavier Woods is actually the brainchild behind New Day.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
And he went to Kofi at first to get this, and Kofi then pitched it to Vince, and then he's like, okay. And then they're like, we want to use Big E in it. And Vince has always been high on Big E.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to see Kofi help, as the veteran, help Big E get that push for the title. I know, in my opinion, Kofi deserved it back, the title run back when he fought with Orton. And Orton was one of my favorites. And when, Kofi put the paint on the NASCAR and stuff, that stuff was classic. And WWE dropped the ball on that. And Kofi deserves a world title hunt. But I think Kofi and Big E could have a nice feud if they would break the team. And Big E went farther for the world title. But, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm just like, I'm tired of them throwing pancakes, but, like, I can't get enough of New Day.
Yeah.
Can you think of any other faction that could actually survive the way that they've been doing it, as a team, but also if they split, but still being, New Day? But I can't think of any others that really have done that, like a trio or team of four that's done that for that long.
Mm-hmm.
The only trio you could remotely put into that is the Shield, unfortunately, and really have they survived past, everybody doesn't want to see Roman, but the Shield was a great trio as a whole, and they all had their point in their what they're doing and why they're doing it. And that's the great thing about New Day. But the difference between like the New Day and the Shield was everybody had their own position in Shield, where New Day, they all have flexibility.
Yeah,
and they all can kind of do each other's things, where Seth was your performer, Dean was your talker, and Roman just stood there and didn't talk and was actually cool.
He was the muscle.
Yeah, he was actually cool.
When he didn't talk, he was fantastic.
Yeah, he was the muscle.
But, you have Big E being the muscle in New Day, but yet he can cut a promo. He can make you laugh when he's gyrating, as you say. Yeah. Then you have Kofi over there being his 40-year-old self doing his little thing, and it's just like
40. Oh.
Yeah, right. Kofi's 40, and then Xavier Woods being that young buck when he's like talking about giving digits out and DM me, like those three together, and everybody's right. They are the freebirds of this generation. If anyone has a problem with that, you're completely missing the mark on what a tag team or a trio was. You're going over, because they are the freebirds of this generation, and. It's like I said, it's one of those teams where you want to see them break up and see what they can do, but at the same time, it's just like, I know it's going to hurt me if they do.
And what's really cool about them too is that it's very rare that you have a trio or even a general tag team where they both or all the characters or all the members make themselves better. Like when you look at what Big E was before the New Day, good God, it was painful. When you looked at Kofi beforehand, like he was getting to the point where he just was doing the same thing over and over and over again. And then Xavier Woods just never really caught fire. But when all three of them came together, they all helped each other. They all improved. And now each character is so well done that now I think that they could go off on their own. I think Big E could get a big title push and still be a part of the New Day, but also work and be a realistic contender for the title. Same thing with, they could do Kofi or Xavier going after an Intercontinental or U.S. Championship or something to that fact, and you would believe it because they've just been improved so much. Not just because obviously they've always had that in-ring talent, but now their characters are up there too.
Agreed. And that's like another reason I'm just a huge fan of Cesaro and the Bars, because I've known since Chikara days that Cesaro's had a character and had this great persona hidden in him. Because when you look at him, he looks like the standard robotic wrestler. And being, I'm rocking Cesaro now. I'm a huge fan of him. And he has that roboticness. But putting him with Sheamus, who arguably, in my opinion, is one of the greatest heels of this generation. And the stuff that him and Cena did was classic. And I became a huge fan of Sheamus. Yes, he was pushed way too soon, but Sheamus, because of Cena, made me a huge fan. And continued to make me a huge fan of him. And he just continued to produce great quality matches, great entertainment, and all this stuff. And then I always wanted, you can ask anyone on We Talk Wrestling, I have stated it from day one that Cesaro got signed. I'm like, put him and Sheamus together, and it's going to be money. It was going to be money. And look, it's been money. The Bar, those two play off each other so well that it's giving Sheamus finally that character that he almost was missing with Jack Swagger. And that was another great duo, in my opinion, with Zeb Coulter. So that group was good, but like Sheamus pulled something out of Cesaro that let him finally get that character of he is the Swiss Superman. He is that robotic wrestler.
He is right.
Yeah. So he was able to harness that roboticness that he is of the wrestler and make it into a character with Sheamus. And I'm sold on the Bar 100% and always has been.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a really good point. Corey, did you have something that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, just the way that whole thing started too with Sheamus and Cesaro, having the best of 7 and Mick Foley, making them, do what they did and then making them have to coexist. And it was one of the few things that I can really, I can vividly remember that WWE has done a good job building. Because how long has this been going on now? What, 3 years?
2 or 3 years. And
Almost
people hated it at first. Yeah, people actually despised it at first. Like, oh, they're just throwing them together. But then you saw as you're saying, that you saw the molding of those two together.
Like the vignettes in the bar and everything. Like that's something I remember. That's something that will play back in my head because it was fun. And they revisited it too after, they were buddies instead of, frenemies. And they just did a really good job, and they continue to. And, a lot of people were like, where's the bar? Where's the bar? I think it was good that they were taken off the TV because now they're fresh again.
Right.
And they can be a big impact. And then you got, with them coming back, you also have Sanity, which is like a 50-50 thing. I think that it'll work. I think that they, of course, definitely have the potential. But whether they get used right,
my only problem with Sanity on the main roster is so Killian Dane got put in after what's his name? I like the other guy better. I'm not a Killian Dane fan. I'm not God dang it, what's his name? The guy with the Predator dreadlocks. Got released down in NXT.
I know who you're talking about.
I like that formation of NXT when it was him and God, now I can't. Wolf and Eric Young, and then that dude is pissing me off now that I can't think of his name. But that form of Sanity was perfect in my opinion, was solid. And then, and the reason I don't like Killian Dane, and it's not that I'm saying that wrong because I do like Killian Dane, and I've always been a fan of Dane.
Just him in that group, or
yeah, I don't like him fitting in the group. I don't think it works. It's because I personally find him bigger than the group.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you put this guy that could be so much more in a group when all you really need is Wolf and Eric Young.
And Nikki Cross. I think that was the big mistake, as actually when they brought him up to the main roster, not bringing Nikki Cross with them automatically.
Agreed, 100%, because Nikki Cross finished the whole deal. But it's just, I don't...
Sawyer Fulton is the one that you were talking about.
Yes, Sawyer Fulton. I really liked him. He wasn't very good in the ring, but he had the character look for the group. Where Dane just looks like this, he almost looks like a farmer beast. Like
he just looks like a beast to me, an animal. I mean, like literally, he is.
That's the thing. He looks like the farmer's son that goes out there and just throws sheep over the fucking shoulder and just muscles them around and shit. And you're telling me he's in the sanity? Like,
see, to me, he looks like Eric Young and Alexander Wolf go and they unlock him out of the cage every day, and he's just in there,
Okay, do that.
Exactly.
Do that.
Yeah, exactly.
To make him, because as he sits, he does not fit, in my opinion, because he needs to be that monster. Is what I was trying to like. The farmer thing might be a little bit off, but
I like it. I like the
Scottish farmer.
But
I'm all for it.
He needs to be that guy that, like, you have Eric Young who's being like the crazy leader and stuff, and then Wolf is like just throwing his arms around and stuff, doing his thing. And I absolutely love Alexander Wolf.
Oh yeah,
absolutely love Alexander Wolf.
Great character.
And it's a great team. But then you have this big guy that like just stands there, and I'm like, do more with him. Do like, fine, have Eric Young, bring him into the ring with chains and stuff, and then like, tag team match, unhook him and just let him go fucking ballistic, almost like a Festus, but not a Festus.
Yeah, like if you're gonna go character, go character, go full.
Yeah.
One thing that does aggravate me on the main roster with Sanity, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the change of production between NXT and Smackdown. Like, yes, I know Smackdown's got a different kind of production look and a higher production, but it's like they try way too hard to make it look chaotic.
Grunge. Yeah.
Yeah. And in NXT, of course, they had just like that perfect mix of the way that they shot the cameras going back and forth. It almost gives you a headache with the way that I'm assuming Kevin Dunn does the entrance for Sanity.
That's your problem right there, is that you try to put it into the hands of Kevin Dunn.
Yeah, Kevin Dunn's like, I'll get it done. I'm not even. I'll stop.
They ruined Ascension like that too.
Oh my God!
Because Ascension was amazing, and once again, I love Ascension with Connor and Victor, and I don't remember what was his original name, but Bram. Bram from Impact, right?
Yeah, dude.
When he was with Connor,
and they were coming out lights and everything.
Oh, dude! When they had the lights on their hands, like they're coming out like the Underworld kind of character. Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking solid, and WWE just totally threw them two boys under the bus, and Victor and Connor deserve so much more because they're good, they're awesome. They would have been a great powerhouse team, and they're doing it to AOP, in my opinion, too now. Like, we all know AOP is supposed to be the next Demolition. Like, that's what they remind you of, at least that's what they remind me of, and that's not wrong to be reminded of another wrestling tag team. Ascension was supposed to be the Road Warriors, and that's fine. They could have been that, but don't state it. Don't make them go out there and make fools out of themselves. Just like AOP, what they're supposed to be the Demolition of this era, but don't make them go out there and say it or anything. But they're just not using them right. Like, really, Titus Worldwide. Now, I like Titus Worldwide, but it's just not the right fit for them. In my opinion, I'd rather this
beginning to a few like
exactly.
It just doesn't jive.
They should have like been going after the Revival or something to like finish their finish their stuff with the Revival and brought up past.
They never do that though.
They act like
never,
NXT is just another company almost. Like they just don't
yes.
even acknowledge it sometimes.
The only person they've ever used from NXT up that, in my opinion, that's been right, and this literally goes across the board. Kevin Owens is the only one that was brought up
and
the right way.
And even now, they're starting to just make him this secondary character. Like some people might like what they're doing with him right now, but all I know is that he was better as like a top monster heel. And so far, like I loved him and Kevin and Sami Zayn together. But to me, they just like everything that WWE does, the main show, they overblow, they overdo it, and then you just get bored with it and you just get tired of it. And now I feel like both Sami and Owens have been hurt by it. Now, Owens, to me, is a character that can survive that. So obviously now he's in the feud with Braun Strowman. So I think he can survive it. But I just really miss the time. Like, what the first thing they need to do, and this is going to be a topic for another episode, but if they can just get Brock Dam out of the way and make a more realistic person champion and actually have, like, title changes and stuff like that, Owens should be at the top of that picture every single time, you know?
But he's okay. Owens is so flexible. He can go from being what you're talking about, just a badass, monster. He can be slimy. He can be sneaky. He can be in a comedic role. I mean, he is that guy. Yes, we like to see him in, certain roles, but the dude is right in the middle of the WWE Universal title picture. And I think a lot of people are looking past that because they feel like he's an accessory, but everybody can't be on top. Everybody, there's places for everyone. And that even goes back to, even though I hate what they've done with the Ascension are something that I guess like people in the business would call a good hand. They've been around because, they didn't do well, or they didn't do well with what WWE gave them, but they do well enough in the ring to stay. And I think Kevin Owens is at times like 1,000.
Okay.
He better be.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. They can put him anywhere. And that's the thing. It's like, and we may want him somewhere else, but damn it, we're going to enjoy where he's at for the most part.
Yeah.
I can't think of any time that I haven't really enjoyed. The only time I haven't enjoyed Kevin Owens, and this is stretching it, was when he had the Universal title and the Goldberg thing happened. And he still did well with that. He still, that little bit of time that was going on, he still made it work for his, to his advantage in a way.
Yeah, and I guess to jump off that to try and wrap things up in a second, I think that what it really shows is Kevin Owens being a great example, but also all the tag teams that we've talked about tonight, I really do think are great examples of when the performer is given a lot of creative control, magic happens. Not just like with the characters, but also in the ring itself. And that's why NXT, I think, works so well, is because I really do feel like Triple H puts so much trust in his performers to do what they have to do and to work together, and he gives them the time that they need to work out these matches. And I really do hope that one day, either Vince wakes up to that fact, or that he gives the reins to someone like Triple H to be able to understand that you have to not be able to, you can't just destroy these characters. You can't just, try and put these characters on a leash, because it ends up hurting them in the long run, especially the current tag team division, because we got some really great teams, but the storylines and the way that they're being portrayed and the booking especially just aren't really helping any of them. But Zach, any closing thoughts about the tag teams or about anything that we've talked about tonight with wrestling?
Well, the only other last tag team that I can think of that's been like really hurt and was, once again, you stated it before, the organicness of wrestlers coming up and stuff, and who got organically developed. Breezango.
Yeah.
There's a team that was organically done, and both guys are great in-ring wrestlers, and those backstage vignettes were hilarious. They were fun. They got overplayed a little bit, but if they would have done it right and just let them build those vignettes up and then give them a title and give them an opportunity to run, I think Breezango could have been a decent as Corey said, a stepping stone tag team for this somebody, but giving them, that, okay, yeah, we've won the tag team titles before. What are you guys going to do to, step over us kind of thing, and been a good stepping stone tag team for the new guys coming up, everything. But Breezango got wasted, in my opinion, too.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree with that. And again, it just goes to show you sometimes what happens is that people get organically over, and then Vince says, "Ooh, wait, they're over." And then once he starts to push them, well, then the organic, the organic quality is gone, and the fans sense it, and then it's just not nearly as good. So, Corey, any last second thoughts on anything that we talked about tonight?
3 things. 1, Slater and Rhino. I love both of the guys, but where the hell did that come from? That was during that whole thing where there were a lot of, good tag teams at the time, and then all of a sudden Slater and Rhino are the inaugural Smackdown tag team champions. So there's that. 2, Breezango, speaking of them, I can't remember what pay-per-view it was, but whenever Tyler Breeze was dressing up as several different characters in the match, and he mocked the Usos, I think it was. Holy shit. I was laughing so hard. And I am not ashamed, because that had me just rolling. 3rd thing, to the 2 of you, prediction, tag team of the year in WWE 2018. Zach.
Ooh. I would have to go with the Bar or Usos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this is for like the Slammy Award, right?
Yeah. Who is going to be the one that sticks out at the end of the year?
Well, seeing that the Usos have won it even when they weren't doing very well as a team, and even when they were annoying as hell, I would have to say the Usos are probably going to be, 3-time, 4-time Slammy Award winning best tag team. So I would have to give the edge to them, because they get all the votes for that award.
Okay, I'll say, and this isn't slammy, I'm just going to say, breakout tag team of the year. I think Sanity's going to do it. I think Sanity.
Not for a slammy.
I'm saying for the breakout. I don't think they'll get, but I'm just talking about in general. I think they will be.
Oh, if you're going
to yeah.
If you're going to go breakout, then I want to change my vote to Alpha.
Yeah.
American Alpha, because if if they're going to put those two,
Gotcha.
If they put those two together, like the rumors say, that will be the break. That those two together were freaking gold down in NXT.
I would love it, man. I thought that they didn't have enough time even in NXT, honestly. But
yeah, I agree. And then if I was going to change my vote, I would say if they let the Revival go, the Revival could be a team. Imagine if American Alpha comes back together and then they let go the Revival and not try and hold them back. Man, we could have some really great tag. To me, that could be reminiscent of the awesome battles in NXT for the tag titles as well. That's what I really hope to happen.
Totally.
Agreed.
I would love to see either.
Yeah. All right. So do we do any plugs? Does anyone shout anything out that they do? Or
go ahead, Zach.
Yeah.
If you want to ever join into We Talk Wrestling, we are a small group on Facebook that just get along together, and it's all about respect and love and all that stuff, and everybody has their place, and we try to, it's a bully-free zone and all that kind of stuff, and we promote that, no bullying, no nothing like that. So everybody's in there polite, loving. We call it the We Talk family. And thank you.
All right, very cool. And Corey, did you want to shout out Geeks and Gamers?
Yeah, man. We have the Geeks and Gamers Wrestling podcast that usually drops. We try to get it out on Fridays. This week it'll be out on Saturday. It's me and resident Sports Wars guy, Brandon Andreessen. He has 50 different shows with Sports Wars. I'm like, dude, how the hell do you do this? He's like, I just don't sleep. All right, cool. And then I've got a project coming up. I'll tell you guys about it next week whenever I have a little more detail.
All right, sounds good. And then I am O's Vlog, so you can find me on my own channel, O's Vlog, and I also do videos every week for the Geeks and Gamers channel. But guys, if you like this video, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe if you haven't done so already, and also please leave us a comment to let us know what other topics you would like us to talk about in the future. We'll read through them, and hopefully we can do one of those recommendations. But for everyone here at the Geeks and Gamers team, this has been another awesome day. Have a good one, guys.